Okay, in the last video segment, and this is Mike DH again making a video about werewolf decks for Tap.net. And where we left off was on the creatures. And just a second, let me close this down just a second there. And so where we last left off was the creatures, and we just about finished it. There's only one left, and that is Phyrexian Metamorph. Now, Phyrexian Metamorph is a key part of this deck, and it should probably be in a lot of tribal decks. This copies threats like Geist of St. Traft, Blightsteel Colossus, and other things, and also you can use it to copy your own werewolves, because once you make a copy, you can't flip it back, and there's a ruling about that and the magic rules you wrote up that I can show later or whatever. And so Phyrexian Metamorph is a very, very valuable, and so that does finish off the creatures. And so now we're going to cover the non-creatures, and in deciding what things to cover first. Basically, in werewolf decks, you need to be able to do, and a lot of other decks, not just werewolf decks, but especially in werewolf decks, you need to be able to do the following things well. You need to get a lot of werewolves out, and you need to pump them up really big, and you need to remove whatever in your way, and you need to protect your werewolves from people trying to do the same to you, basically. And so, I've got 17 pump cards, and I've also got some removal cards. So I'm going to show you the removal cards and preventative cards. And so I have cards like Brimstone Volley, and I have cards like Slake Storm. And Slake Storm will just board wipe a whole bunch of small creatures, like 3/3 or lower. And I've got my free Brimstones will do 3 damage or 5 damage depending on whether a creature's died. And then the other thing I'll do is I've got this is unusual in the werewolf deck is Mana Leak. And this will also help protect my werewolves. I have Full Moon's Rises, and between the Full Moon Rises and the Mana Leaks, that'll help protect my werewolves very well from any spot removal, or whatever. Also help eliminate threats and whatnot. And then, of course, I've got Moon Mist to help my werewolves transform and so forth. I've also got Naturalizes to deal with things like Angelic Destinies, also artifacts and swords and stuff. And I've got Greensun Zenith, which is again why I don't have a lot of red creatures. I mean, Huntmasters, Udafels, and Emeralds are red and green, so they can, because they have green in them, they can be green sunned up directly into play, and Green Sun lets you search for creatures and put them directly into play, so that's very useful. And then Green Sun is shuffled back into your library, so that's very useful as well. I have 4 Planeswalkers, and one of the things that people don't usually have in a werewolf deck, is a Chandra, the Firebrand. And Chandra I can use to reverberate all the many instant and sorcery spells that I have here, and we'll also reverberate Green Sun and reverberate Slake Storm and Brimstone Volley and Mana Leak and Naturalize. So basically, it lets you do 2 things for the cost of 1. It's very, very great in that regards. And then also I can do 1 point of damage and kill a 1/1, which is not to be underestimated, because I can pop a Gravecaller off on turn 3. Just with a Chandra. Now that may seem like a waste of 4 mana, but it really is worthwhile for the other things that it does, as far as copying spells and for do 6 damage to directly to a foe, which can finish off the opponent. And also you can do 6 damage to 6 different creatures, so it can clear boards. Very, very useful. Garrick should be in many different werewolf decks. It basically creates 2/2 wolf tokens, which come into play pumped usually. You can do 3 damage to another creature, and which will flip it. And when it's flipped, you can produce 1/1 Death Touch tokens, which will kill off other creatures when it blocks them, and then you can also search for any creature, and you can also pump all your creatures kind of like overrun. So that's very, very, very useful in that sense. And so that's pretty much the spells. I just basically have lands of just have copper lines and rootbound crags because they're just like red and green, and then I have hinterland harbors for the mana leaks, and I have some colorless lands like Keswick Wolfren and an Eekmoth here for late game alternate win con. Ghost Quarters to fix my mana base in case I have problems, which I usually don't. And that's that, Also, let's look at some of the other charts here. This says 5 converted mana costs, and I don't have any 5 converted mana costs. That's like a glitch or whatever. I think it's Metamorph that's causing that to happen, and it's like 4 CMC, not 5. And it's usually costs 3 mana and 2 life, so it doesn't even cost 4 mana per se. And so it's a very good mana curve for the deck as well. Now let's go back and look up at the sideboard. And before we do that, let's look at the how much time I've used up. Okay, I've still got some on this video segment. I'll cover the sideboard here. Basically, between my deck and the sideboard, I have answers for pretty much almost everything, or most things. I'm running two naturalizers, so I've got another 2 naturalizers here. I'm running 2 mana leaks in my main deck and another 2 mana leaks here in my sideboard. Tunnel Ignis will just mess up ramp decks like Wolfren. The more lands that they lay down beyond the first one, they take 3 damage, and that can knock down a ramp deck down to 11 to 14 life, which makes it them easier to kill off. And if they don't want to take the damage, then they gotta slow down, and that allows me to catch up to 2 of them as far as big creatures and stuff, and go toe to toe as long as I have Tunnel Ignis in there as well. Another thing that helps us against ramp decks as well is Blasphemous Axe and Traitor's Bloods. And Blasphemous Axe also help against aggro, and Traitor's Blood also helps against like indestructibles like Blightsteel and Evers. And also helps out with Titans and various things. You steal their creature for 1 turn, you slap them with it, which kind of discourages people from playing with big monster fatty creatures, and stuff like that. Surgical Extraction is really good. Like when somebody tries to counterspell you or whatever, you can get rid of their copies of extra copies in their hand, or graveyard, or deck, whatever. That's really good. Grafdigger Cage is really good against zombie decks and other decks that use their graveyard a lot, and so that's pretty much it's a very well balanced sideboard. Has answers for everything when combined with the deck and everything. So that's pretty much the sideboard. And so now I'm actually going to cover the deck breakdown in my deck description here, and I'm going to see if I have time to do that. I have just enough time to do that, and then I'm going to end this segment. Okay, so let's start off with there's 64 cards and there's 23 lands. That's a 0.359% mana ratio. Some way say, well, that's a more 64 cards. That's more than 60, whatever. And what I find is that there's people who follow that new school train of thought about must have 60 cards, no more. Must have 4 of each card. That they're kind of missing a point there. But sometimes it's necessary to go to 61, 62, 63, 64 cards. If I had my choice, I'd rather go with 62 cards. But one of the weaknesses of a Werewolf deck is there's a lot of things that you need answers for, and to have those answers in your deck, that's why I'm running 64 cards. The mana ratio is really good. I don't usually have mana problems. Don't often have to mulligan. and then there's like 2 4s. There's like 7 3-ofs and maybe 5 or 6 2-ofs. So there's a mix of 2, 3s, and 4-ofs in a deck. Very balanced there. The deck has a 2.58 average converted mana cost for each card in the deck. So it's very, very low casting cost as far as that goes. And it also it does have a slight weakness drawing things, but usually I don't have problems drawing what I need. And it'd be nice to have some card advantage, but cards like Hunter's Insight would be maybe one, but I'm having a hard time finding room for it. It's already at 64 cards. So another thing that I do is going down to each category is creature removal cards. I have 18 creature removal cards, and you really have to remove creatures like attackers and blockers to eliminate threats and to also eliminate blockers, or else you won't get through to do damage. That's very important. And I have 17 pump cards, and they're like all here, right here, and it's very important to pump up your rules bigger. And then I have like 12 token generators. I have 17 burn. I have 4 tutors, and I have like 4 mana rippers, birds of paradise. I have like artifact enchantment destroyers and naturalizes. I have 2 counter spells. Here's the ruling about Metamorph. It's rule 711.3 about coppering a werewolf. You can read it on your own time here on my deck page. So that's why it can't be flipped back. Here's another ruling from the errata about copying cards with an X cost. You can copy Green Sun, it is legal, and here's the ruling on it right here, and so forth. Here's some cool combos that are in the deck. Here's my sideboard. Again, I covered that before, and here's how I sideboard against what, like Wolfaricle. I have it listed here. What I sideboard typically by sideboard against Wolfaricle, ramp, and whatnot, and here is my sideboard in and out list and so forth. So that's pretty much a breakdown of my deck breakdown section. Here's updates and comments. I have a lot of comments on the deck and so forth, and so that's about it. I've got some more material to go through, but let's check how much time I've used. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video segment. It's gone on long enough. I need, it's going to learn video segment. So I'm going to pause it and then start up a learner video segment. And we'll go into some of the other aspects and comparisons of a werewolf deck. Okay, so that's about it. So signing off for now. This is Mike DH, and see you later. Okay, bye.